everyone, I am Ashita. I completed my undergrad from IIT Kanpur, post which I had my first real-world analytics experience working in Flipkart. I then went on to pursue my MBA from IMA, where I did projects in operations research and supply chain analytics. And I also joined Accenture Strategies Consulting Division, where I helped firms leverage analytics to solve some of their most challenging business problems. I'm also the founder of Flutter Gems, a package discovery platform for Flutter, which is currently being used by more than 40,000 developers across the globe. And today, I am here to share some of my insights on practical analytical problems and how we can solve them using machine learning in Python. I'll be demonstrating some of the popular traditional machine learning algorithms provided in scikit-learn and MLXtend, and will also witness how powerful Pandas is for data wrangling. In this graph, you can see how artificial intelligence and machine learning has evolved in the past few decades. And one of the growing trends is the usage of deep learning. Today, various industry leaders are deploying deep learning models, which often leads a machine learning enthusiast foray into the domain of deep learning. Even in competitive platforms like Kaggle, almost all competitions are won by deep learning algorithms. So is it high time we abandon machine learning? A lot has been said in the media. Deep learning is at the bleeding edge of AI frontier, but there's a cost of embracing it. Deep learning models are data intensive in nature. Larger the amount of data, better will be your deep learning model. Whereas for a traditional machine learning algorithm, there's a saturation point beyond which the performance of the algorithm does not increase. Deep learning algorithms are difficult to train as they take a long time to converge, which often demands a lot of patience. Also, deep learning model is like a black box, as you cannot interpret the model itself and explain why for a particular input you are getting a particular output, or what factors of an input are leading to a particular output. The statistical explanation of the model is difficult, which makes it difficult for businesses to adopt it. Last but not the least, deep learning demands tremendous computational power, and you are required to invest on GPUs, which are quite expensive. From a business perspective, in real life, we do not have control over the amount of data we can capture, but we can definitely control the methods that we apply. Thus, it is important to know the various machine learning methods that are available in the industry and presently used. Now coming to our next question. How can you do machine learning in Python? Well, don't worry. You don't have to develop anything from scratch. We will be using 3 Python libraries. Pandas for data wrangling, analysis and manipulation. Scikit-learn, which contains various core machine learning algorithms and is one of the most widely used library for machine learning, both in academia as well as the industry. And third, MLXtend. MLXtend is a relatively new library, but it provides some additional features which are not present in scikit-learn. So let's get started with the exercises. Fire up your Jupyter notebook using command line or Anaconda toolkit. In this exercise, we'll be doing some real estate valuation using regression. The ordinary least squares is a regression method which seeks to minimize the sum of all squared residuals. This means that given a regression line through the data, we calculate the distance from each data point to the regression line and sum all the squared errors together. This is the quantity that ordinary least squares method seeks to minimize. So in effect, in linear regression, you are trying to find a straight line which best fits the data for all the features. Let's start by importing the requisite libraries. We will be importing pandas for reading and processing the data. We'll be importing linear regression class, which contains all the important functions that we need to execute our linear regression model. We'll be importing standard scaler, which will help us normalize the data, and the train test split function, which will help us split our data into the training data set and the test data set. Now let's quickly load our data frame. We'll be using regr.csv file. As you can see, you have 5 independent variables: house age, distance to nearest MRT station, number of convenience stores, latitude and longitude, which we will be using to predict our y, which is the house price of unit area. Let's quickly check the data types. As you can see, we have all our data types are either float or integer. So let's quickly initialize the standard scaler. And now we'll be creating another data set which contains the normalized data using the scalar.fit transform method, and we are also retaining the names of the columns, which will help us analyze the data set later. So let's quickly check the data set that we've created. So as you can see, this is the normalized data set. Now let's separate our x and y. So as you can see, we are just dropping y from the entire data set and putting it into x, and the y remains the y. So what we will do next is we'll split our data set into training and test data set. So as you can see, we are using the train test split function. The test size is 0.2, which means that 20% of our data has been allocated to be the test data set, and a value of 1 to the random state ensures that there is repeatability. So now let's quickly build our model using the fit method of linear regression. Let's score our model on the training data set and see. So this score is basically the coefficient of determination, R square, and the best value is 1. Let's quickly check the coefficient. So as you know, for y equal to mx plus c, m is the coefficient. So these are the coefficients that we are getting for all the respective x's. Now let's quickly check the intercept, which is the independent variable. Let's score our model on the test data set. Let's calculate the y predicted. What we'll do next is we'll create a data frame which contains y predicted and y actual. So as you can see, we have predicted versus actual, and let's quickly plot them. As expected, we are getting our data points along a 45-degree angle. Let's move to the next exercise, which is an association rule learning algorithm. So when you go to the supermarket, do you find yourself buying bread and eggs together, or say snacks and beverages together? Don't you find it convenient when these things are placed close to each other rather than at two opposite corners of the supermarket? While we may know that certain items are frequently bought together, the question is, how do we uncover these associations? One of the most common methods to measure these associations is the a priori algorithm. Using this algorithm, we find how popular a set of items is as measured by the proportion of transaction in which that set appears. If you discover that sales of items beyond a certain proportion tend to have a significant impact on your profits, you might consider using that proportion as your support threshold. Using this approach, you can identify item sets with support values above this threshold, and they are referred to as your significant item sets. So let's quickly do an example to understand this better. Let us start by importing the requisite libraries. Let's quickly load the data set. So we'll be using baskets.csv for this exercise. So as you can see, the dataset contains two columns, order ID and product type. So order ID is a unique number and each unique number represents a single order. So as you can see, order ID 10150 is a single order and soft drink and fruit veg have been bought in a single order. Similarly, frozen meal and beer have been bought together. Now what we'll do is we'll merge all the products of a single order ID with order ID, and we'll be separating them using the delimiter highlighted. So let's quickly do that. And you can see all our order IDs are now in a single row. Now we'll split all the products in a single order ID into a list. So as you can see, this is a list of lists where each list represents a order ID. So let's move ahead. And we'll be using transaction encoder. So what happens is, using transaction encoder object, we can transform this data set into an array format which is suitable to apply a priori algorithm. So what fit does is, via the fit method, the transaction encoder learns the unique labels which are present in the dataset, and using the transform method, it transforms this list of lists into a NumPy array. Now, all the unique product items that had been bought are represented in the form of columns. So let's check the first order. Remember, we had fruit, veg and soft drink in the first order. So if you see these values, the table that is displayed, you will find that fruit, veg and soft drink is true. So let's quickly find out our significant item sets, and we have used the minimum support threshold as 0.1. As you can see, we have sorted them in descending order of support. So if you see, frozen meal and canned veg is one of the most frequent combination that is bought together, followed by frozen meal and beer, canned veg and beer, etc. So if you observe this closely, you will find out that many people who go for frozen meal also go for canned veg, which are of similar characteristics, hence should be placed nearby. Similarly, people who go for beer tend to go for frozen meal as well, which they can make quickly. Let's move on to the next machine learning method, which is instance based. This class of algorithms assume that similar things exist in close proximity to each other. KNN is one such example, where K is the number of nearest neighbors. So in KNN, we try to find the K most similar instances that have occurred, which we do via distance calculation of feature vectors. And based on the results of these instances, we predict the output for the input dataset. One of the key deciding factors in this algorithm is the value of K, which is the number of neighbors. Now let us try to understand this via a real life example. Netflix. So say I am the product manager for a recommendation engine, and I want to predict whether a user would like to see a movie as a recommendation. One of the ways I can predict it is using KNN. I will look for, say, 100 Netflix users who watch that movie, having same attributes such as age group, geography, affinity to a movie genre, say drama, comedy, horror, etc. And based on whether they like the movie or not, I can show the recommendation. Now let's move on to the exercise where we will calculate the credit risk of a new applicant based on the historic data of similar people who have defaulted or paid their loans. Let us start by importing the requisite libraries. We start by importing pandas, which we'll be using for our data analysis. We'll be importing KNeighbors classifier, which contains all the necessary functions that we need to execute KNN. And as you remember, we'll be importing train test split as we did in linear regression for splitting our data into training and test dataset. Let's quickly check the dataset. We'll be using risk.csv. As you can see, we have a lot of columns: male, age, debt, years employed, prior default, employed, credit score, driver's license, and income. All these columns we'll be using to predict the approved column, which is our Y in this case. So let's do a little cleaning of the dataset. So if you look at the dataset closely, you'll figure out that there are a lot of question marks in the dataset. So we'll be replacing them with an NAT and then we'll be dropping them. So let's quickly do that cleaning. So if you closely observe, in the original dataset we had 690 rows, whereas after cleaning the dataset we have 666 rows. So our dataset is now cleaned and ready to use. Let's quickly check the data types. Whoa! So if you see, some columns are of the object data type. Now with this we'll clearly not be able to do our analysis. So we'll be converting them into a categorical data type. So if you see, using the asType function, we are converting our columns into categorical data type, and age is the only one that we are converting to float because age is not a categorical variable. So let's quickly do that and check the data types. Yes, now it's fixed. As you can see, none of the data types are now object. So what we'll do now is we will separate all our categorical variables into the cat columns. So all our categorical data types have been separated: male, prior default, employed, driver's license, and approved. To use the categorical data types into our KNN model, we need integers. So we'll be using the lambda function to convert them into integers. So as you see, we have converted them into integers. All the categorical data types have been converted into integers. Let's quickly separate our X and Y. The approved column is Y and all the other columns are X. So we'll just be dropping approved from the entire data frame and get our X, and approved is our Y. So let's quickly do that. We'll be splitting our data set into the training and test data set as we had also done in linear regression. Now let's quickly make the model. Here we have chosen our nearest number of neighbors to be 3. So our model is ready. The next what we'll do is we'll be fitting our model into the training data set. That's done. So let's calculate the Y predicted value. So let's quickly calculate the goodness of fit or the accuracy. As you can see, it is around 0.67. So with these 3 algorithms, we have seen how traditional machine learning is still very relevant in today's era and is heavily being used by varied industries all across the world. There are 2 more popular algorithms that I wanted to cover in today's session, which are being rampantly used across the industry: K-means and decision tree. But due to the limited duration of this talk, we won't be able to cover these algorithms. I have uploaded the entire repository and all notebooks on my GitHub, and I've posted the link on the Slack channel. In case you have any queries, please feel free to reach out to me either on Slack or Twitter. And thank you for attending this talk. Have a nice day.